It's Friday, December 7th, Saturday, December 8th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the snowy mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you nightly on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Also, if you want to listen to our archives, we have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot soon, shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin is bringing you high-quality messages to the masses. Head to our website, click on the Ensuho banner, and subscribe today. It's the first Friday of the month and the final time of 2018 that we will have our resident extraterrestrial expert on the show as our Keith Andrews returns for the ET Connection. Keith is a lifelong experiencer who has turned his own testimonies into helping others understand the experiences they are having with off-world contact. So tonight we're going to get into implants. What are they like? What are they about? And of course, we never know where this show is going because your questions really dictate the way. So make sure if you're in the chat rooms or on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you put them in capital letters so that way I do not miss them. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine is back with another edition of the SOR News Wire. It's nice and balmy here, Keith. Not going to lie. -6 degrees Celsius. I believe that's about that's about 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, about that.
I'm enjoying the cold right now, man. No breeze, no nothing, no moon. Got a great view of the stars. Things are looking very, very good up here at SOR headquarters, man.
Yeah, we're a little warmer than you are, and thanks for having me here, and welcome to all of our listeners. Yeah, we're at -5 right here.
It is a beautiful temperature.
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
Yes. See, the beauty of living in a Celsius world is I don't understand the whole Fahrenheit concept. I really don't. And I know our American listeners are going to be like, what the hell is -6 degrees? About 20 degrees. About 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm almost at the balance where I can figure it out right now. But you know what? We are entering winter time. We're just a couple of weeks away from Christmas. This is your final appearance of 2018 already, my friend. Man, it's been a fast year for us.
It has been just like a flaming whirlwind this year. You know, just one thing after the other. And I mean, you take a look at the growth curve that SOR itself has gone through. It's, you know, I mean, my life goes fast and in way too many directions. Yours has just gone like a rocket.
Oh, tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. It has been a whirlwind year in 2018. I'm very excited to see what is happening in 2019 for this show, for all of our guests and our listeners as well. It's going to be a lot of fun coming up here in the near future. That is totally for sure. As you look back on 2018, when it comes to ET contact, UFOs, and everything that you have done, what are some of the highlights you've had this year?
Well, ended up with, I guess it was this year. My health has been taking an absolute kicking, and they've been reorganizing that. But there's been a staggering amount of interest going on where not only has the consortium been holding more, shall we say, guideline meetings than has been known in the past, like in the recent history. But there is a real buzz regarding the evolution of the societal evolution as far as where this world is going. For me, I've ended up meeting a couple of new, shall we say, new races, which are becoming new friends at the same time. People talk about having friends in high places. Mine just get a little more orbital. I think one of the biggest things that's been happening, though, is that it is becoming thanks very much to, to shows like yours, to SOR for bringing it out in the open. But people are not looking to the skies so much with, fear and trepidation anymore. But even on the ship's topside, they're talking about the fact that people are looking more for answers than for defensive strategies. There seems to be, at least in the general public, there seems to be a bit of a shift in it, moving, with a little bit of luck, moving away from the fear side of it and into, okay, what does it mean?
Well, that's kind of interesting. And that is the ultimate question, though. I mean, everybody's asking, what does it mean? What does it mean for disclosure? Because in 2018 here, Keith, one of the big things that has really taken a focus, and we are 10 days away or 9 days away from the 1-year anniversary of that New York Times article coming out about UFOs. And the entire focus has been in 2018 when it comes to the paranormal realm, UFOs. Disclosure, probably more so than any time in history. Sure, it's happened before. It happened in the early 90s. It happened in the 70s. It happened down in the 40s and 50s in recent history. But this past year, because of the advent of the internet and websites galore and social media, this has really taken off about unidentified flying objects and what governments of the world actually really know about what's going on. So, I mean, you almost have two different stories, Keith. You have, or three actually, you have those who are experienced, such as yourself, who are trying to figure out the message of why it's happening to you and other people. You have the disclosure side of what does the government know, and then you have the extraterrestrial side of they're just sitting up there watching this really fun reality TV show we call Earth.
Oh, yeah. And of course, then you've got the other part of it from topside of them trying to figure out how much of the government actually does know and how much, and much more importantly, why is it not passing the information on in a controlled fashion so as to lessen the complications the governments are having.
Well, how much of that really is a stress on the governments of the world, though?
Oh, it absolutely is. But what they seem, according to the off-worlders, what the Terran government seem to be overlooking is that if you leave people to speculate, far worse options come to the surface than if you actually tell them what's going on. But again, in a controlled fashion. Okay.
Explain that.
Well, it's kind of like like if you've got a missing person. Okay. Yeah. The parents, if they know that the child, parents or friends, doesn't matter. If they know where the child is, or if they know whether or not it's alive, but they have a definitive answer, they can learn to cope with it. If the child is missing and nobody is saying anything, the fear grabs hold and every possible negative thought goes to light. The same thing applies with the existence of the off-worlders. There are way too many people that have seen and have physical evidence of off-world interaction for the governments to stand by and say, and have consistently stood by and said, no, they're not real, leaves everybody questioning not only what they're here for, but what else the government is hiding, because there's too many things out in the open. Now, with that in mind, the government cannot, for society's sake, you certainly can't have the entire off-world situation dropped in the public's lap, because most people will not handle it well. Okay, but you've got to give something to deal with.
True that. I mean, you always have to give somebody something, but the fact is, I mean, we're no closer. Even after this year has been so strange and anomalous, with even mainstream media picking up all things UFO now. we're still no closer to really any answers. We're just getting different directions that we have to look.
Well, yeah, it very definitely is a case of there's way too much going on to encapsulate it in one package, if you will. But in a nutshell, what it really boils down to is it is another culture that mankind has to learn to interact with. And, the reality behind that is that they aren't the off-worlders, although they are in a lot of ways very similar to man, with the one primary exception that they've managed to get a global government where the planet, not out here, but their home planet, is operating reasonably functionally. Okay. Other than that, they've got the same fears. They've got their religions. They've got their holidays and what have you. The one thing I have found that's rather fascinating is the off-worlders that are here and are stationed here are starting to adopt some of the more globally accepted holidays at the same time. Sort of as a way to try and figure out how people interact. Get to know the culture, if you will.
Is it working though? I mean, I don't
fairness,
I don't feel any closer to disclosure, and we discuss this every day.
Yep. And I can understand that all too well. The question you have to ask though is where it comes to disclosure. Yeah. What is your definition of disclosure? And this is something that applies to every individual. Okay. I mean, I take a look at it personally and I go, okay, what is disclosure? Well, if we look at it from a government standpoint, when we've got different governments around the world making laws involving UFOs, making monuments involving them, stating, yes, they're real. To me, this says the government is already acknowledging it. When we get people with a radio station, like you've opened up SOR and you've done a fabulous job with it, opening up all kinds of topics and, lighting a torch under a number of people's backsides, if you will. But people like you are bringing it more visible. To me, that is disclosure. Waiting for a government to come out and say, oh, by the way, yes, we've had contact since before Western civilization evolved, may be a little problematic in the socioeconomic standpoint. So whether they should have done it way back or not is, in all fairness, irrelevant. What has to happen now is people have to look at it and go, okay, we now have a situation where it is being picked up. So let's scrap the question of why didn't they say so before? Okay, why didn't they tell us way back? Well, the reality is they didn't know the ramifications. And unfortunately, being a very infantile race to start with and very fear-based as well, I can understand where the fear came from. But what we've got to do now is look at it and go, okay, pretty much anybody, most people coming on the air here, and I'm referring to the listeners, most of them are coming on with the idea of, yes, it really is happening. And yes, there are people out there that are going through similar things to what I'm going through. So maybe I'm not completely off my nut. I may not want to go and tell my local people, but at least on this station, there's a sense of, yes, this really is happening. This is what people have to look at. Well, what it's advised they look at. They don't have to. It's their choice.
I got a couple questions coming in from the Twitterverse here. This one coming from Oscar at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. He's saying, Keith, how do you know the difference between an abduction and a dream?
That, I actually had to ask that question myself years ago. And the way to tell it is, number one, if it's just a dream, what it'll be is just be images and you might get the excitement out of it, that sort of thing. When it's an abduction, there is a definitive, you'll find there's a inherent difficulty in explaining what you're seeing, because in a dream, it's all black and white, in color as well, but it's all in forms that you understand. Okay. For the most part, in an abduction, you're not only stuck with the images, but you're stuck with an emotional overlay that defies logic in a lot of ways. And you're trying to explain something that you don't have words to explain. Okay. Plus, of course, there's that one elusive feeling. It doesn't feel right. Okay, if you're having a dream, it feels like a dream, and most people just chalk it up to that. But every now and again, when you're dealing with an abduction, the common thing I hear, and I presume the same one you do, Dave, is, yeah, it sort of looked like a dream, but it didn't feel right. And it's that inherent feeling that creates a problem. You know, that's the biggest difference with it.
Okay. To expand on that a little bit, a lot of people, when they have these dreams, let's say, of course they are happening at night, Keith. How do we know it's just not some memory in the back of our mind that we saw a couple of freaky movies, or this is a topic that intrigues us, and it's not our own imagination that is creating these very, very heavily realistic dreams?
Well, you know, in many cases, that's a real difficult one. Where it becomes blatant is when you have somebody that's never even looked at the UFO phenomenon, and they've led their life, just living their life, doing a normal whatever they were doing, you know, living in the world of high finance or whatever, and all of a sudden they've got this dream that comes out of nowhere, and we'll use the dream in quotes. You have this so-called dream that comes out of nowhere that there isn't a functional way for it to get to it. Now, I can give you all kinds of possibilities, but the general way to look at it is, if you've got no functional reason for that memory, then it's coming from somewhere that is not a normal road. And yes, that can be very disconcerting for many people.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. But how do we know, though, Keith? I mean, is there any trigger points that we should look for within the brain and within ourselves to know that that wasn't just a vivid imagination or some sort of wild, lucid dream and rather reality?
Well, here's where it gets complicated. Because if you talk to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, many of them will tell you that what I'm about to tell you are triggered or can be triggered by standard psychological relays. But when you have, number one, missing time becomes a real definitive issue. When you have a change in your behavioral pattern, as in, let's say you used to walk along, when you go for a walk at night, you never had a problem, you've never been mugged, you've never had any negative interaction, and yet all of a sudden you're afraid to go for a walk at night, but you remember this dream where you were abducted. Okay, and all of a sudden you've developed, without any physical provocation, and the only recollection you've got is this dream that showed this potential abduction. If that's the only record, and all of a sudden you're afraid to go for a walk at night, or you find yourself feeling like you're being followed all the time, and you've never had a track record or watched movies that would lead you down that road, then all of a sudden you've got something that you've got to look at. Now, the way it was put to me was, when you don't have physical evidence, you have to look at the circumstantial evidence. Okay, take a look at the situation around yourself and go with where the circumstantial evidence leads, but bearing in mind it's circumstantial. So keep your mind open for that possible piece of information that explains it all. Okay, is there a, shall we say, virtually 100% way of knowing for certain? Not a provable one at this point. Okay, not in most cases. Now, of course, you do have certain situations where people have a dream of being taken, and the next thing they know, some kindly doctor is yanking a metal implant out of their hand or out of their arm or whatever, and all of a sudden they've got physical proof of something that they've got no way of it occurring, or at least no recollection. Mm-hmm. You know, so if, you know, for people that are looking for a definitive, this is how you know, well, I think the best way it was ever put to me, because one of the big questions, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Dave, one of the big questions that I used to ask was, how do I know I'm not just nuts? You know, how do I know that I'm just not losing my mind? And without exception, every psychologist, psychiatrist, and counselor or student of psychology that I spoke to and asked that question gave me the same answer. If you're asking if you're losing your mind, you're not. Because if you were, you wouldn't know it.
Mm-hmm. We only got about 20 seconds here before we got to go to break. So, Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on here as we start to wind into our first break at the bottom of the hour. Our Keith Andrews is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Keith comes in the first Friday of every month to talk about everything extraterrestrial, from ET contact to disclosure to implants to your own personal experiences. Keith can be found on Facebook, Twitter, at R. Keith Andrews. Go check him on out. We'll be back with more R. Keith Andrews and the ET Connection right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Final Friday, actually that's the first Friday of the month. Final appearance of 2018. Our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith, welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. Sorry, having a drink of coffee just completely screws up talking.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, some of us have that trouble finding the right words in the language to say at certain times.
Well, let's face it, Drownese is not a good language to speak on the air.
Well, I know you're battling a cold or a flu right now, and the fact that you're with us doing this show shows that you're a real trooper, my friend. Thank you for doing that.
Well, I appreciate that. It's, the last thing I wanted to do was cancel, but when, I'm feeling fine. It's just I'm 3/4 deaf, But
yeah, you got the old plug deer. You got the old plug deer, and that's never any fun.
Well, it makes it difficult. It's kind of like trying to work on the radio when you got laryngitis. That doesn't work well either.
No, that definitely does not work. Keith, I want to get to another question here as we start the second half hour of the show. This one comes from Goddess Michelle. Now, there is a European tradition around Christmas time. I mean, Santa and St. Nicholas are always the good guy, but the bad guy is a creature called the Krampus. And she is wondering if there is any sort of alien connection to Krampus.
From what I have been able to piece together, the answer is no. But at the same time, I'm not ruling it out. The reality behind Krampus is every time you have an energy pattern that shows up, where we have Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, however you want to phrase it, there is always a counterbalance that shows up from somewhere. And Krampus has, essentially, from my understanding of it, showed up at just about the same time that Nicholas did. Okay, almost a counterpoint, a counterbalance at that point. Now, from my end, because I don't have a definitive where he came from, I cannot chalk him up to being definitively off-world. I'm more inclined to say that he's an ancient race, that he was here from frankly, before mankind, but that he evolved on this planet. And, of course, anything that feeds off of fear or off of negativity, because of the way that mankind is, every time something positive happens, there are the people that focus on the negative side, and that's what draws the extra entities. Oddly enough, if you focus on the positive ones, those are the ones you draw. But Krampus himself seems to run hand in hand because he only, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Dave, but from my understanding, Krampus essentially only shows up at the same time as St. Nick does. Not in the same houses, thankfully.
Well, I mean, it all depends how good or bad the children are. If the children are real bad, Krampus comes into play and basically gives them, a good swathing with a, plethora of sticks.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of rocks, too.
Yeah, although in all fairness, Krampus seems to be much more hands-on, so the rocks would be a last resort.
Exactly. Exactly. But, nonetheless, are you sure, though, that it could potentially lead from an alien race rather than just being some sort of tulpa that has been created in legend and lore, and now that there's energy been put into it, that there is the possibility that that's what's bringing this creature around, much like we hear with legends like Slender Man?
Okay, I apparently wasn't as clear as I would have liked to have been. I don't feel that Krampus is a thought form. I do feel he is a very real entity. Okay, like a very real, very physical one. Whereas with a thought form, you can go, I don't believe it, and quite often you can bypass the problem. Krampus, it doesn't matter whether you believe in him, as long as he believes in you. Okay, now, is it possible that he came from off-world? The answer is yes. Okay. It is absolutely a possibility. I just, unfortunately, where it comes to Krampus, I don't have enough to work with and haven't dealt with him head on myself, which I suspect I'm going to have to at some point. But he is, and who is it? Sharon in Spreaker here has mentioned that she thought it was just one demon, and whether we want to call him a demon or what, that's still open to conjecture. But Krampus is an individual. And the fact that he can get from one end of the country to the other does take him outside the realm of, because he only shows up at one place at a time, does take him outside the realm of being just a thought process. And it takes him outside the realm of being a human or a bunch of humans carrying on the, shall we say, twisted tradition.
Well, I think that pretty much sums it up. And remember, if you have any questions for Keith, type them in capital letters if you're in one of the chat rooms so I do not miss them. Same as on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. We'll make sure that we get them to you. Keith, implants. There's a lot of people out there who claim to have these implants, a lot of people who claim to have some sort of connection or vibration coming from their body with ET contact, whether that's through implants, whether that's through some sort of download that they have received, or that they can telepathically communicate with ships, summon them to arrive and show themselves at any time. When you look at the entire summary of it all, it sounds so far out there. Now, I do believe that there are implants. I know I'm implanted. I woke up on the table when mine happened. I also know for a short time there, back in 2014, it seemed like every time I wanted to go outside and see a UFO, I could. Don't know why, don't know how, it just seemed to go that way. So I do believe there is some sort of reality to it. However, with this game that we call UFOs or ufology, whatever you want to call it, it is so inconsistent that it's easy to create doubt in your mind when the experiences aren't happening that often, especially if they come in bunches like they did for me and other people. How do we really know what is going on and who they are choosing in order for this type of contact, not only to implant, maybe to watch them, but for summoning ability or communication through telepathy as well?
Well, we'll deal with the claim of conscious contact first. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. There are people that can, there are people that have implants, and whatever you do, I really encourage the listeners to accept the fact I'm not picking out any individual and saying it didn't happen. What I will tell you is, from my experience, roughly speaking, about 75% of the people that claim to have some sort of implant, or more importantly, that claim to have the ability to draw an off-world to them, about 75% of them don't. Now, that said, this does not mean that they are not going through complications. It doesn't mean anybody's nuts. But what it does mean is, first and foremost, implants, yes, they are very real. Okay. And there are a number of people that have them that don't know about them. What I have found with a staggering number of people, though, is that they jump to that conclusion to explain something that turns out to be a logical problem. For instance, when they have this feeling that they're being watched, and they chalk it up to, I must have been abducted, instead of going back to a specific point where they had a very legitimate scare. But since that point, they felt like they've been being watched. Okay, and this is not a question of believing people are nuts. Okay, because first rule of thumb, when somebody says, I think I've been abducted or I think I've been implanted, first rule of thumb, go with the concept that that it is very probable or very possible at least that they have been. But understand, you always look for a rational explanation before you just give in to that. Now, is there a way of knowing for absolute certainty that you have been? Very little. You have, because again, we're looking at circumstantial evidence. Many implants are, first of all, like I was just noticing Joe Monk asking in Spreaker if all implants show up on x-rays, and the answer is no, they don't. Because implants some of them are mechanical, some are biomolecular, meaning they're built right into the cell system in the human genome. So they won't track, you won't be able to find them. Many times when you're dealing with people that are going, I can draw off-worlders to me, more often than not, they'll go, I want to see something, or I want to draw one to me, and they will see what looks like the real thing. It may not be, and this is why there's no concrete way of saying yes or no. Okay, so we have to take a look at the issue of when you're looking at implants, when you're looking at the issue of abductions, you treat it as though it's real, but keep an eye open for the one piece of information that derails it, that puts your life back into a normal venue. Because I don't know about you, Dave, but Lord knows if I could have a normal day in my life, or what other people seem to think is normal, that'd be kind of a nice switch.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's get to Catalina's question here. And she is asking, do you think implants are mostly hard lumps in nature in the body?
Most of them, the answer is yes. Okay, but do understand, having a hard lump in your body does not mean categorically you've got an implant. There's all sorts of metabolic reasons why that can happen. But most are of a mechanical technological nature. But they do vary in size, some as small as a tiny pea. Which gives you an idea where technology can take things.
Okay, well, medically speaking, there's people who say, and Dr. John Lear also said this as well, that when they were operating to remove implants, some of these implants are like their own bioorganisms that will move to try and evade some sort of capture. They will move much like a worm or a bug stuck in the body and dig their way into other areas. However, doctors out there, Keith, will say that when you're pressing on the body, things move.
Yeah.
So how do we know that a foreign object just maybe isn't a metal sliver and is moving because, you're touching the area, you're pushing into the area, trying to get it out, and all it's doing is going into a deeper phase rather than claiming, oh, that's an alien implant?
Well, here's where it becomes Really simple to explain and difficult at the same time. The only way, both of those answers are right, by the way. You've heard me talk about biomechanical organisms. That's what what Dr. Lear was referring to, is a circumstantially, it's a programmed response for an implant to avoid extraction. However, standard medicine is also very accurate when they say you push on the body, things will move. Now, the reality is the only way you as an individual, and this applies to every listener we've got, the only way you're going to know for certain is if you as an individual goes out and gets a medical degree so you can actually explore that venue firsthand. Because both of the descriptions that you've given are actually accurate and are not mutually exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those ones where I can't give you a one is right and the other isn't, because they're both right under the right circumstances.
Right. Right. So how do we tell what is what? Because current medical doctors aren't really looking for ET implants, and if they find something that's in you that is extraordinary, that shouldn't be there, the only thing they're really going to do is write it up as a sliver or some sort of foreign object that has entered the body, and they're going to throw it out.
And then it gets shipped off into File 13 in some government research lab, and you don't hear about it anyway.
Or the garbage dump.
Yeah. And this is where the proof of it, the only way I can put it is this. If let's say you go into the doctor and you have this, if you will, sliver removed. If it was just a sliver, if it was just an ordinary foreign object ended up somehow in your body and it had to come out, once it is removed, that's the last you ever hear of it. You don't get another replacement. Okay. However, if it was an implant, you can virtually bet your bottom dollar if it was removed by a Terran doctor, you're going to end up with another one somewhere within a couple of weeks.
Why is that? Is that because you believe that these implants are some sort of detector, that they are like a radar for us, for the aliens, so they know every movement everywhere we are at every time?
In some cases, the answer is yes. It's kind of like what the humans do to different species on Earth to track migratory patterns. The off-worlders do the same thing. Okay. It really does boil down to the same series of experiments, just with a whole lot more technology on the part of the off-worlders.
Okay. I can buy that, and I can theorize that. But what do these implants actually do, as we have about 3 minutes before we got to go to break at the top of the hour?
Well, there's an array. Some of them simply track migratory patterns of people. Some of them are designed for tracking the actual genetic evolution of a specific bloodline. Find out just exactly what's being passed on, what isn't. There are some implants that are used for tracking the impact of trauma on individuals. Okay, and we are talking on a subquantum level. We are not just talking on an individual base, like on an obvious level. Okay, and then of course you'll love this one, but some are literally bugs so that they can listen in, so the off-world can listen in to see what the government is actually doing on an individual base.
Right. Okay. So with that, how do we know if the implants that are in us, for those who think they've been implanted, that they're actually of extraterrestrial descent or of governmental descent?
Yeah. That one, sad to say, unless you know how to pull them out and get a look at them and pull them apart, you're going to be hard-pressed. because governmental technology, Terran technology, has gotten rather advanced in that remark, that regard. Okay, so can I give you there? Simply put, there is a different biomagnetic field that is generated by off-world implants as compared to by Terran ones. Okay, I believe it's called the EFM, and the magnetic pulse off of a Terran-built implant is very different than the one that comes off of an off-world. That and the fact you'll also find the actual composite that is used for the off-worlders is very different than what Terrans use.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Why not just use a cell phone?
Yeah,
that comes from Joe, by the way.
Somebody implanted a cell phone in your arm? Just a thought.
I know. It's a little big. It's a little big, but I mean, everybody has cell phones these days. I think it's a logical question.
Yes, and that is more often than not the way that Terran governments actually track things. And yeah, I know that's going to cause all kinds of flack. But the reality is a cell phone doesn't have the range that an off-world implant has.
Well, I guess their technology is a little bit more advanced than ours, so that does make sense. So yeah, why not? Why not?
The relay towers, the number of relay towers that you would have to have suborbital for a cell phone to get there,
Hey, my friend, I'm going to get you to hold on. We're going to go to break at the top of the hour. Our Keith Andrews is our guest tonight. The ET Connection happens the first Friday of every month. Keith's next appearance, 2019 on January 4th. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jimmy Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social media freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you joining us for this Friday night. This weekend, while I am off in the wilderness finding my Zen and my Chi, we have Tessa Nicole Thomas in SOR headquarters for Spaced Out Weekend. She gets going at 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, if you're looking for our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor and hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's Friday. I always get a little scared about Fridays, man. Always get a little scared about Fridays. Gemma Lichkeet is your password. As Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot soon, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and so much more. Our Keith Andrews is here. It's the ET Connection. It happens the first Friday of every month. This is the final appearance of Keith in 2018. Hard to believe we are saying that already, but here we go, Keith. We got a ton of questions from our audience. They are lining up to learn about implants and other ET-type contact. How you doing, brother?
Not bad at all. How's yourself?
Oh, that password. Oh, he scares me with those. I hate Friday nights because of that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Friday nights scare me. I'm not going to lie. Cardwell has me freaked out on Friday nights now. Freaked out. It's been like that for months. But I think I may have done well on this one. I just have a feeling. I have a feeling, but you never know. You never know. I went with my mother's side, the German side on that one. So yeah. I think I may have got it.
For what it's worth, this is one of the few that you haven't stumbled brutally over, so I'd have to say very good at.
Oh, yeah. I think so. We got a plethora of questions from our audience here coming on up, and I do want to get to them because it's important. This is an audience participation show, so let's get to it. Let's head right down to Australia, where Aussie Rob, how's tomorrow looking, Rob? Because we have to ask him. He's asking, Keith, when they biomolecular implants are made, have the people that are implanted with these devices been taken before to get the skin and DNA samples to create the implant specifically for that person?
In some cases, the answer is yes. More often than not, they do it. Now, the thing is, they may take them and do the test right there on the spot. Do the creation right there on the spot, which is the way the Greys work. But, they absolutely take it to, and if I remember the way it was written in the chat room, they literally do it to cut down on the possibility of rejection. The body throwing it out. Or, conversely, the body getting ill because of it.
Okay, so they are checking the DNA quality just to make sure that the body that they're putting it in isn't going to reject the implant.
Yeah. Now, this is why I said specifically for the Greys, they do it that way. Not all of them are as, shall we say, nice.
Okay, explain that a little bit.
Well, when you have, for instance, you take a look at the vegans, they have no pain center. Therefore, they don't understand the idea of infection. They don't understand the problem of organ rejection. So when they do put an implant in, the thought doesn't even exist as to how to cope with it because there's no record of it in their life at all. And they've got no cognitive way of sorting through it. Okay. Then, of course, when you take a look at, the Nords work with the Greys, so they don't really come into it. But when you take a look at some of the other races, like, for instance, the Draconians, the Drakes, the actual Drakes, okay, they're not as, shall we say, medically sophisticated as what the Greys are, so they don't have the ability to modify it to that degree. Okay, net result, you end up in some cases where people will get an implant and all of a sudden it'll end up becoming either inflamed or it'll stick out above the surface, stick out, creating a lump on the surface of the skin, which is not what anybody putting an implant in wants to happen.
Right. Okay. Let's move on here. Catalina is asking, animals like dogs get lumps. Can some of these possibly be implants? And are aliens implanting dogs, pets, animals in general?
Absolutely. Dogs are, simply put, another race. They are another thing on this planet for research, for examination, for tracking. And just like cats, birds, fish, you name it, even plants. Now, granted, with plants, aside from, I think it's down in South America somewhere, most plants, they don't bother tracking for migratory patterns. But there is a race of walking trees down in Central America, I think, might be Brazil, where the trees actually do walk. So they do have migratory patterns.
Alan is wondering, are some of these implants used in correspondence with the pineal gland?
Absolutely. That's where you track cellular evolution. And it's also where they track the evolution of the higher senses that many humans are starting to generate at this stage. So, right. Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Shar is asking, are all implants, can they vibrate remotely, or is there something on Earth like a credit card swipe or something like that that will actually set them off?
Well, we've got to eliminate the question of all, but are some susceptible to it? The answer is yes. Okay. Because we're dealing with so many different levels of technology and material components and what have you, I'm certainly not going to go the route of all of them do. But yeah, some will certainly, especially ones that are set wrong, will set off local scanners, which can really throw both the person and the security people for a loop.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to Joe's question. Joe is asking, Keith, how many implants do you have? Where are they? And have you ever had any removed and studied?
Well, I'll tell you what. Number one, I really haven't taken the time to bother checking anymore. Have I had them either removed or have I shut some down? The answer is definitively yes. As far as have any been removed and or studied, here's a challenge for you. Somebody get into the military records in Canada and find out what was done to me completely when I was a kid, and you might find the answers out faster than I will. I had to suffer through the wonderful fun of my lab. So the records for a lot of my medical are not available, as it were. At least not from my contacts.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's go to a follow-up question from Joe, who is asking, are implants, from what you know, dangerous to remove?
Quite frankly,
let me add to that for a second. Would there be any side effects as well?
Not usually. Assuming, and we just have to go with that caveat, if you will, assuming the doctor involved does the job properly, then there should be no side effect at all, aside from a hole where the implant used to be. But they are not designed. Now, here's the kicker to it. Off-worlders don't build them with built-in booby traps. Some agencies on Earth do. Okay. Because the off-worlders look at it going, well, if you're advanced enough or if you're cognizant enough to have it removed, then that's great. That tells us more about you, and we'll put another one back in to see where it goes from there. But they're not like a leash, if you will. The off-worlders don't use them as a way of controlling people, which is what, when you put a booby trap in a implant like that, that's what it's for.
All right, let's move on to Penman's question. Michael is asking, what would a flat-sided triangular clear crystal implant be used for?
Well, depending on the size of it, those things are used to track biomolecular, the quantum biomolecular influx. They're looking for a link between the human, the higher senses tracked through the pineal gland, and the overall neural net. How's that for a complicated answer? See, basically you're looking at an extremely high level of technology tied into those ones. But whoever is the people that end up with those, you can bet there's something either going on with them personally or somebody they're very closely connected to. And in more cases than not, it happens to be a bloodline thing where they're trying to see where those senses are going.
Do implants affect certain parts of the body? Like, for instance, are there implants strictly looking to control or see what can be activated in the brain? Do some control muscle activity or heart activity, lung activity, organ activity? Like, are there different implants for different parts of the body, or do they pretty much, when you're implanted, they pretty much cover the whole gamut of the human body?
Well, when you throw the word control in, we have to understand that the off-worlders on the whole are not looking to control humans, period. So their implants aren't used for that in the first place. However, different implants are put in different parts of the body because they pick up different signals. Okay, and yeah, they are geared for, in many cases, they are geared for that.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to expand on that or no?
Oh, yeah. When you're dealing with the implants, you have to take a look at, first of all, the shape of the implant and the size of it, because that will determine, obviously, you don't want to put a larger implant in, for instance, in a sensitive part of the brain, because it can screw up the electrical field in the brain, net result giving false readings, false data for the research. If you're looking at putting an implant into a muscle, as in into an arm, a longer one, like a cylindrical shaped one, will hold its position much better than a round one will. Again, because of the way it lays with the muscles. So you look at the engineering of it, that's where the shape comes in. And of course, size just depends on the person you're putting it in. You don't want to put an adult implant into a child. Quite often, there's not enough room. But when you're talking about the issue of trying to control organisms or trying to modify them, frankly, that would be mankind's doing. And those are not designed by the off-worlders. Those are things that mankind is developing of its own accord.
All right, let's go over to Twitter for Canadian Joe, who hasn't been around lately. He's been busy with work, but we're glad to have him back at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. He's asking, hey, Keith, how are the Sarkozyans doing these days?
That was a nice effort. Actually, in all fairness, they're rather excited about the way things are going. There are some real positive shifts happening as far as, if you will, the disclosure goes, because of the fact that Sarkozyans are allies of man. Watching mankind actually make headway towards getting along, towards accepting the fact that, everybody that thinks is not human. They're quite happy with the current turn of events. Would they like more contact with the general populace? The answer is yes, but the general consensus is the general populace is not yet ready for them. Something to do with them being like 7.5, 8.5 feet tall and armored.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, when you're that big, you can pretty much push anybody around.
Well, you can't. The problem is they're not interested in doing that.
Mm. Cardwell, by the way, says I got the password wrong. I don't believe him. I don't believe him whatsoever. We're arguing in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook right now.
Oh, nice.
I don't agree with you, Cardwell. I don't agree with you. I hate.
Yeah, it's always fun when you get heckled from your own chat, from your own.
Yeah,
your own
I hate Friday night passwords. I really, really do. Hey, Alan has a great question, my friend, and he is asking about tinnitus, the ringing in the ears.
Yep.
Is it a vibratory frequency of cosmic energy, or is it a hearing problem?
Well, I'm sort of the opinion that in more cases than not, it's the vibratory alignment. Yes, tinnitus is a hearing problem, and in some cases that's all it is. But I have come to understand that more often than not, it's because whoever the individual is picking up a higher vibratory rate than what the brain is able to calculate. Now, one of the things that you can take a look at is when you're suffering from it, if by concentrating on literally the concept of slowing the noise down, if by sheer concentration you can slow it down and wipe out the tinnitus, you're definitively dealing with picking up the higher energy levels. If thinking about it doesn't slow it down, then it's quite probably a question of you've got a problem with your hearing. I think that's the easiest way to look at it.
Well, as someone who suffers from tinnitus, it's not fun. My ears are always ringing, man. My ears, okay, you don't need to go to a rock concert and you come out of the concert and your ears are ringing.
Oh, yeah.
Turn the volume down just a little bit, and that's what my ears are doing every day.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts. Drives me absolutely
you were nuts
nuts.
Long before the tinnitus started. But give that a shot and see if by concentrating you can slow it down, as in make it quieter, or slow the cyclic rate down. If you can, then number one, concentration will cure it. and you can bypass that annoyance altogether.
Right.
If not, well, you probably have a hearing problem.
This is quite true.
Or at least an annoyance.
This is quite true. Well, I can say this. Like, I know a lot of audience members right now, as we change the subject, are asking about the walking trees of South America. They are in the rainforest. I wasn't sure about it, so I actually Googled it. It's the walking palm, or Cachapona. It's a palm native to the forests of the tropical Central and South America. I did not know this, but their root system walks. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it really is. Hence, when we go back, and we go a complete sidetrack on that, and we go to the ends of Tolkien, of Tolkien fame, and we have the foundation.
Mm-hmm. Either way, it's kind of cool. Kind of cool, actually, to see that. I'd actually like to go and see one of those.
You're going to have some patience. It's not like they walk at our speed.
No, I hear you. You definitely need a very slow motion camera to catch those.
But they do nonetheless walk.
Mm-hmm. Sharon. And we know what her questions are like. How could aliens be so stupid about our pain? They have seen and heard enough screaming, haven't they?
Well, this is where I could get into a lot of trouble, so I should probably bite my tongue. It's not necessarily a question of stupidity. It's a question of non-comprehension, or not really understanding the entire issue of it to start with. But, and you tell me to stay away from this, so I'm going to leave the other side of that alone, because, well, you keep telling me not to go there, Dave. Because there is a comparative to that.
Your answers are short tonight. I'm not used to this.
In this case, the reality of it is, when you start talking about stupidity of the off-worlders with regards to human pain, understand, I know of one person in particular where I was literally witness to him, and we're talking a pure human, pulled his own molar out with a pair of pliers without wincing. Mm-hmm. Now, if an off-worlder has picked up somebody like that as a template for pain threshold, it's not stupidity. It's a question of they got a different piece of information and they don't have the data to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The other issue is, of course, pain thresholds are such a variable because the same person, frankly, you show him a needle and he'll pass out.
And on that note, Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on as we are going to go to a break here at the bottom of the hour. We are at the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio. We'll be back with more. Our Keith Andrews, the ET Connection, after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Our Keith Andrews here for his final time of 2018. Keith's next appearance will be Friday, January 4th. Keith, welcome back. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you, my friend.
Oh, thanks very much, and Merry Christmas and happy holiday to you and yours as well.
Thank you. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm going to be heading down to the coast, spend some time with my parents, and see my nieces and nephews, and it'll be our first gathering together since my nephew passed away in July, so it's going to be a little weird this Christmas without seeing the big guy there, but what do? We all got to move on, right?
Yeah, and this, especially with that in mind, this is definitely the year to make that happen.
Exactly. And you know, my mother is battling some health problems too, and I hate to say this, especially publicly, but I just really have a bad feeling that this is my last Christmas with my mom. I don't know why. I just have that feeling. Don't need any answers or anything intuitive, Keith, on that one, but I just got a bad feeling, and so I got to make sure that I battle the elements and get down there and spend it with my mom. You know, I mean, hell, I'm 45 years old. I'm the youngest of my my parents' children, and I'm pretty lucky to be having my mom and dad both still alive at 45. I know a lot of people have had parents who've passed away, but I have this feeling, and I'm just hoping it doesn't happen.
Well, on that note, I'm not about to give you the one side of it, but I absolutely strongly encourage you, because your own feeling says there's an issue, make certain you get down there and you tell her anything you feel you haven't, or you ask her anything you feel you haven't, because, hopefully you're misreading it, you're overreacting, that sort of thing. And if that's the case, it wouldn't hurt to do the latter anyway.
Yeah. I just know that if I skip out going down because of the weather, not because I don't want to see my family or spend time with my family or anything, but I just know if I go down, I'm probably going to regret it. And I'm going to be kicking myself in the ass. My mother has COPD. She's can't seem to shake pneumonia. She's had pneumonia for like 2-3 months now, 4 months, and she's at home, but the doctors are working on her, trying to get her better. But nonetheless, I have hope. Yeah. And definitely going to go back down there because, I don't know what the hell I would do without my mother's cooking. I mean, my one grandmother passed away when I was like 15 years old, and I still crave her Lazy Man's cabbage rolls. It's like 30 years. I haven't had them in like over 30 years, and I still crave them. I'm like, damn it.
Sadly, I can relate to that, and I only lost my grandmother, the one that made those, when I lost her in 96, so I was in my mid-30s when she passed.
Yeah, no kidding, right? No kidding.
But I understand what you mean about Lazy Man cabbage rolls.
Oh, yeah. And I still have a grandmother left, and unfortunately, what is she, 90? She was born in 1928, so she's 90 years old this year. She'll be 91 in January. Just a phenomenal lady, but she doesn't cook much anymore. And there's a lot of meals that I will miss. Like she can't make her homemade pierogies anymore. Being Ukrainian, that's a staple of life. Homemade pierogies.
Yeah, it's like that goes out the window, and all of a sudden you're just at a loss.
Yeah, Mrs. SOR will go to the store, pick up some pierogies from the store, and she goes, "Oh, do you want pierogies?" No. Well, why not? Well, they're not my grandmother's.
Because you just cannot compare them. It just doesn't work.
No, you can't. Absolutely, you cannot do that whatsoever. But what do you do? What do you do? So,
well, you try and improvise and think about her, but good luck replicating.
Yeah, no, it's not worth it. I don't crave pierogies enough to go to the store and buy some. If the kids want some, I'll do that. Yeah,
that was like my father who only passed away 2 years ago. He used to make pancakes from scratch that you just could not beat, and you can't buy them in a store.
Yeah, I agree. What's funny is my grandmother was the same way with pancakes. I mean, ever since I was a little guy, my grandmother used to make the homemade pancakes, and they were really thin, and they're so good. They don't soak up the syrup. They're not like the big European-type pancakes that are almost an inch thick. Don't like those ones. Don't like those whatsoever. Because you got to pour 6 bottles of syrup on them.
Well, that was the funny thing. Because dads were like that. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, you didn't need that amount of syrup to make them good.
You're lucky. Yeah, you're lucky. Well, I've been fortunate, though. My ex-wife made pancakes just like my grandmother. And Mrs. SOR now, lucking out twice now, makes pancakes just like my grandmother. So I'm a little lucky that way. The pancakes I'm taking care of. It's the pierogies. That's the one that gets me. The pierogies. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Just can't. But anyways, we should probably get back to talking some aliens here.
Yeah, talk about getting sidetracked.
Follow-up question from Joe, who earlier was asking about removing implants. He's asking if extraterrestrials get upset if implants are removed.
Well, you get the occasional one. As a race, the answer is no. As a technician, some of them get downright frustrated, especially when you get the people that have figured it out and do it repeatedly. Where the same, because you take the person back into the same technician, it's like, look, they dropped another one. And it gets really frustrating for the technician, on an individual level. Because it's like, look, I put that in there for a reason. Would you leave it alone, you monkey?
Yeah. Yeah. And in reality, too, should we not be, we do it to animals. I mean, we've talked about it on this phone. I mean, we'll tag animals for research, whether it's fish, whether it's, lions, elephants, mountain goats, deer, whatever it is. We tag them because that's how we research them. That's how we learn. That's how we've got all the science in regards to these creatures, from their own evolution to their reproduction, everything. That's how we learn.
Exactly.
So can you really blame the aliens for doing it?
Well, this is what you and I have talked about multiple times. It's like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I agree with the humans that go, I don't like being abducted, and I don't like having implants, and I don't like Terran doctors. Why would I like them? The off-worlders. But the reality is that mankind is doing exactly the same thing. And in many cases, with a lot less finesse.
Right. I agree. So we'll see where it goes, man. We'll see where it goes. But nonetheless, we got to move on here. We definitely have to move on. And we are going to get to Ryan's question. And Ryan is asking, if you physically cannot feel or see an implant, how do you know if you have one or not?
Well, because the easiest way to tell, and it sort of depends on your definition of feel. I'm presuming that Ryan is referring to feeling as in putting your finger on it and feeling a bump. But, in many cases, people will feel as in know they've got an implant. And it's because there's a shift in the biomagnetic field that they themselves generate, because it does create a bit of a discrepancy. Now, the problem in a lot of cases is they may be able to feel it, but don't know why they can feel it.
Okay.
So, that's the Reader's Digest answer. It's not a question of having physical proof. It's a question of figuring out or of trusting your own instinct. If something feels wrong, that's your body telling you something is wrong. Okay, we see the same thing with infections or, with cysts, that sort of thing. Some people can feel something being off. They've got no physical proof, but they can feel something is off kilter. They just know there's something that isn't quite right, and that's what prompts them to go looking for answers in the first place.
Mm-hmm. So when you have those sensations that maybe there is something in your body, should you believe your instinct, or do you think possibly that's just some sort of imaginatory tone that you're getting?
Well, I always go with the idea of, and it was put to me to follow this path, you go with your instinct first, but use your logical brain to figure it out. In other words, you trust that there's something off kilter, and now you do the practical, if you will, scientific approach to piece together what is causing it. It may prove, you may prove to yourself that it was just a, as it was put in one show, just a bit of indigestion. I believe that was A Christmas Carol, if I recall correctly, regarding the seeing of the spirit. But, you go with your instinct that says something is off with me, and then you start doing the step-by-step analysis in your own head, to start with anyway, to start comparing the differences that you feel may be there and see where the commonality is.
Right. Interesting. While we wait for more questions, when it comes to implants, are there certain sectors of the body that people should check to see if they have been implanted or not?
Well, the most common ones are right behind the ear, right in that little divot behind the ear, either right or left. It depends on who's doing it and a lot of variables, but right there, right in that little divot in the back of your skull,
mm-hmm.
Above the cerebral cortex is another common place. And both of those, quite often, you can actually feel a scar or something to that effect. The one that is put inside the nasal cavity, well, the odds of you being able to feel that with your finger is not necessarily good. Okay. There's another spot that I find a lot of people seem to get, which is right underneath the shoulder blade. And more often than not, that seems to be the right shoulder blade. If you go down to the 4 o'clock mark on the clock, move in about 2 inches, that's quite commonly a normal place to put it. Okay. There's also the ankle the ankle or the wrist or other places where it's very easy to put them because of the amount of room you've got to work with.
Right. But, I mean, a lot of people check behind their knees, in their elbow areas, in their shoulders, on their backs, their heads, trying to find anything that seems a little bit anomalous. And let us be frank here for a second, okay? Just because you feel you have a bump does not mean that it's an alien implant. It could be a cyst. It could be something cancerous. It could be a tumor. It could be, a bad case of gout flaring up. I don't know. But, I mean, it could be anything. Just don't sit there and be naive and think, oh, well, this is my alien implant. I mean, if you have something bulbous sticking out of your body that is anomalous, make sure you go get it checked out by the doctor. Don't just sit there and say, oh, well, this is my alien implant. I mean, we do have to be realistic about this too, Keith.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And this is why I said you trust your instinct. Yes, there's something off. But you use logic first. And where it comes to, bumps that you don't recognize, checking them out with a qualified physician is absolutely the rational thing to do. For pity's sakes, eliminate the things that can kill you outright. Before you just go, oh, it's just an implant, I'll be fine.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. And I think, because people today have been, certain people, there's a lot of paranoid people out there. They don't trust the media. They don't trust doctors. They don't trust dentists, and that they're going to play Google Doctor and self-diagnose themselves. And people are saying, oh, well, that's what my alien implant looked like.
Oh, yeah.
Don't trust it. Don't trust it. Be smart. Go to your physician, not a holistic doctor who's going to agree with you over a joint or something like that.
Well, that's the thing that I've always cautioned people with. I mean, Google is really useful. The internet is great for information. The sad part is it's even better for misinformation. And you're absolutely right. The worst thing anybody could have done was put tools on there for self-diagnosis. Mm-hmm. The doctors have enough troubles without people that have no training going in there and looking at it and going, oh, I know what I'm talking about. I read it on Google, therefore it must be right.
It must be true, Keith. It has to be.
That's like the people that tell me, well, what you don't see can't hurt you. And I'm like, and my first comment to any of them is, have you ever noticed somebody getting the side effect of somebody getting hit by a car when they don't see the car coming?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But it is important because, unfortunately, you have to put that medical disclaimer out there because people are paranoid and people refuse to look at things. I mean, if you've been implanted, like, for instance, I know when I woke up on the table and I felt them cutting open my scalp and I was wide awake when that happened, I know I got implanted that night. Do I know it's there? Sure. I don't need a doctor to tell me. And there are people who have had those situations happen. Am I implanted on any other part of my body? I have no idea. None.
No, right? But, and the reality is this. The fact that you know it doesn't change the reality of it. But, I'm pretty certain in your case, if you come up with a bump that doesn't make sense, you may look at it and go, gee, I wonder if that's an implant. But I'm betting the first place you're going to go is to the doctor and say, hey, what the heck is this?
True. True. And let's face it. I mean, we're all about the peak woo here. Keith, we love the woo. That's what we're all about. We're all about the tinfoil and woo here. But we got to be smart. We got to be smart about it.
Well, the reality of it is this. Yes, you can. I mean, let's face it. I'd be hard pressed to tell you, oh, I don't believe in off-worlders at this stage. But the reality is, when I look up in the sky and I see something I don't recognize, I don't automatically go, that was a UFO or that was an alien. Yes, I will. Well, I guess in my case, when I look at the sky and I see something I don't recognize, I do call it a UFO. But I take that literally, meaning I don't know what it is. I don't chalk it up immediately to it being some otherworldly craft.
Mm-hmm.
We got about, just want to let you know before you continue, we got about 2.5 minutes before we got to go to break. Okay. Yeah, you have to use your brain where it comes to the implants. Understand that they're not, yes, the process, the abduction is traumatic if you remember it. And if you find out about it afterwards, it's even more so, from what I've seen. But you have to realize where it comes to the off-worlders, they are scientists. They are tracking, they are studying, they are learning. Now, there's the people that go, well, if they've been here this long, why don't they know, why are they still abducting? It's not like we've changed a lot. And I know you'll get this one, you'll understand this one, Dave. 100 years ago, computers didn't exist except in the form of an abacus.
Well, let us not forget, too, that I believe 100 years ago, the average height was about 5'6", 5'7" for a man. And now I believe it's around 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah. So the ironic part of it, the ironic part of the whole thing is that when you're dealing with this ongoing process, it's a question of mankind is evolving at a staggering level, and their level of technological evolution is outstripping their sociological one.
Right.
And I know, just a quick note to you, I know we're going for break here, but there's a question about the Hadron Collider that Joe Monk's brought up that I think we should deal with when we get back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, we can do that. And Shar is asking, Dave, how can you cope with that trauma? Seriously, it wasn't traumatic. It wasn't traumatic. It's easy. It actually felt kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of...
I'm not going to lie. It felt kind of cool.
Well, no, it's kind of a trippy feeling in some cases. I know.
I wanted to scream. Yeah, I mean, the human initial reaction is to scream, but if you can control your emotions and actually sit back and kind of take it all in on what's going on, it's kind of like, oh, well, this is actually kind of cool.
Well, I do know the one that was put in the back of my left ear. Yeah. The experience wasn't the problem. It was the realization of who did it that caused me the problem.
Exactly. Keith, you hold on. We're going to go to break here on Spaced Out Radio. We got the R. Keith Andrews ET Connection for another 30 minutes on the mighty SOR before we get to the news of the week with Olaf Phillips. We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio. At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today. The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thanks for being with us. This weekend, while I'm off finding my Zen and my Chi, we got you covered with Tessa Nicole Thomas for Spaced Out Weekend. She gets going at 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Gemmet Lickite. Gemmet Lickite is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot soon, shop at our store, and read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. For the final time tonight, we introduce our Keith Andrews. He is with the ET Connection that happens the first Friday of every month. This is Keith's last appearance of 2018. Keith, welcome back.
And thanks so much for having me. That came out really well.
You always come out well, my friend. You wanted to hit up Char's question about Hal.
Well, Hal wasn't the issue. Char's question. I mean, Hal is 2001: Space Odyssey. Great movie. Really kind of a trippy one at the time. But the issue that Char was asking was whether or not running a strong magnetic field over an implant would shut it down. And the reality is, it quite often will create static. You'd have to have an extremely high one to actually cripple it. But magnetic fields for most implants will screw up the communication lines and can damage their workings, depending on how strong and how focused it is at the same time. The thing you got to be careful of, though, is if you use too high of a magnetic field, it can screw up the human body at the same time. So, it's not something to be really cautious about right from the get-go. This is where the reason why sometimes if you've got an implant and you don't know it, you can sometimes trigger the detectors, the security detectors in some airports, because they pick up a different field and it sets them off. Which, needless to say, can make life interesting. But like I said, can it work? The answer is yes, but not on all of them.
Well, let's move on to, we've covered implants tonight, and, we're getting closer to the holidays, and this month there's going to be a couple of meteor showers that are going on, and, usually every now and again, an aurora borealis will flare up, which is always a beautiful sight here on Earth. As we get closer to Christmas and New Year's and everything like that, people's energy starts to rise. Do people actually, or do aliens actually know that this is happening? Can they feel the change in energy? Do things like meteor showers attract them, or do they stay away for fear of getting hit on their ships by these meteorites? Explain it all.
Okay, well, first of all, where it comes to, I'll deal with the meteor shower first. It's not they stay away from them. They actually tend to get right involved in them to, get a closer look, to get better readings and what have you. But personally, I like watching the meteor showers, because while you're watching the meteor shower, you always watch for that one meteor that all of a sudden takes a 90-degree right-hand turn. That's the easiest place to spot the off-world ships. But to them, it's just another astronomical phenomenon. And yes, they absolutely study them. Now, as far as the energy down here, as the holiday comes closer, yeah, they absolutely recognize it. They absolutely are aware of the impact it's having. And the nice part about it, something people don't realize about the, literally the Christmas spirit, it's been here a lot longer than any of our understanding of tradition goes. But the fascinating part when you get off-world with these guys is some of the off-worlders are now starting to, if you will, in their own way, participate or acknowledge, especially the ones that are ground-based, that are stationed on the planet, are starting to actually participate in some of the celebration side of it, because the energy does definitively get higher. And it doesn't matter what nationality or what religious background or what race on this planet, this time of year brings about a much higher, oddly enough, much more tolerant level of energy than any other time of the year. So does it, are the off-worlders noting it? Are they paying more attention or taking more biological readings regarding it? The answer is definitively yes. Because it's that energy that is facilitating the socioeconomic evolution that one day is going to bring peace back to this planet. And I know I know most people look at it and go, that'll never happen. Never, I have found out, is a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? It's still the fact that there's so much observation going on in this world with whatever it may be, okay? Whether it's people, whether it's animals, plants, what we do with our lives, on a daily basis. I mean, there is so much going on that I'm just curious, when it comes to people's emotions, especially around holidays or anniversaries or birthdays, new births, deaths, whatever it may be, how much of that gets monitored? How much of the personal level like that on emotions gets monitored through implants or abduction or contact?
A staggering level. The reality is, when you're trying, especially when you take a look at the grays, the whole hybridization program and the whole implant program that many races use, especially with the hybridization program, they have to understand the impact of the holidays on individuals down here in order to perfect to keep the hybridization program running at top speed. Okay, because it's an absolute proven fact that weird miracles of a very positive nature happen on this planet with no functional provocation. And it really is a question of understanding that process. One example that I found, I tried it a couple of years back. I had a little bit of extra money, and all I did was I put a $20 bill in a number of cards, and I walked into the local mall and handed them out to strangers. And I'll tell you, the feeling and the shift of energy in just that little Christmas card can make all the difference in the world for the energy in the neighborhood. Okay, and I'm not suggesting people have to go out and give money to people if you don't have it. What I'm referring to is a simple smile, a simple happy, Merry Christmas or Happy Holiday in any language. And the Offworlders have been taking this into consideration. They've been looking at the impact that kind of friendly behavior is having on the way their societies run. Okay, I mean, you take a look at the vegans, for instance, that don't understand pain, but they certainly seem to understand the concept that if somebody uses that simple word, Merry Christmas or Happy Holiday, they know it has an effect from other members of the same race. So they've been testing it on their own race at the same time, under the premise that if the energy is building down there, then theoretically it will be permeating outside of the planet at the same time. Let's see what it does.
Right. Makes sense.
Okay. That's the easiest way to look at it. So are they studying it? The answer is definitively, yeah, they are.
Let's talk about the hybridization program. Gail wants to know, what exactly is it? What's the purpose?
The purpose is, the Reader's Digest answer, and I'll give you the more in-depth in a second, is literally they are growing cultural interpreters. Meaning, if you take, much like a universal language, a universal translator designed for language, you can take a computer, you can program in all the specifics about each language, and when you run the program, it will take the language of English, for instance, and German. You say it in English, it will take all of the information and translate it so that it comes out reasonably well in German. The problem with Offworlders is they don't have the same foundation. They don't understand the culture here. So, as Gene Roddenberry put it, the biggest problem with dealing with Offworlders is there's no cultural background. So if you, to a human, like if you, Dave, were to go to a German and hold out a cup and say, coffee, the German is going to look at that and realize you're handing him something to drink, presumably meaning coffee, but who knew what? He may not know what coffee is. The Offworlder, if you do the same thing, may not know if you're asking his name, if that's a tool that you're supposed to use when introducing. He may not know if that's a threat. He may not, it may be to him, you may have just insulted him. There's nothing to work with. But we do know that, genetically speaking, culture is passed on in the cells. So, by combining one race with a human race or any other, by combining two races, the genetics of the individual of the hybrid is now built to understand both of the cultures instinctively, making for easier communication lines. That's I think that's the simplest way to put it. But
you know what, though? One of the biggest laughs I have, though, Keith, with this entire hybridization thing, and I believe a lot of stuff, okay? I do. Probably more than a lot of people do, because maybe half of it I want to believe and the other half I've experienced personally. But when it comes to these, everybody and their dog who are saying, oh, I'm an ET hybrid. I'm an ET hybrid. How do you even know? Like, come on. Stop trying to point yourself out.
That is the biggest thing. That there was one very well-known speaker that made a comment, and I was, to say the least, unimpressed, because the reality is very, very, very few people know they're a hybrid. Okay, they may well know there is something that they don't feel right, that they don't feel like they fit with anybody else. But the fact that you don't fit with other people's thinking process in and of itself does not mean you're a hybrid.
Right.
Okay. And the odds of being able to go to the doctor and get it tested and get a direct answer out of them that you absolutely are, without subsequently ending up locked up in a government facility, the odds are not good.
No, true enough. But I mean, there's a lot of people, especially on social media, who go out there and they're like, oh, I'm an alien hybrid. I'm a hybrid. Like they're trying to prove a point or make themselves look a little bit more intriguing than maybe what they are. This is what I find a little incredulous, and once again, a black eye to the community, especially for those who may be out of sorts with what they are going through.
Well, yeah, and that a lot of the time, that's just it. When somebody comes out and says, I am one, okay, and I've heard a lot of people that, I've talked to a lot of people that outright claim it. And then when you get talking to them, they still see things normally. They still have the same dietary and the same comprehensive understandings of things. There's nothing functional that points in that direction. Now, that doesn't mean they aren't. But you are right. From what I've experienced, the people that go around broadcasting, oh, I'm a hybrid and I'm here from, I've heard people go, I'm here from the future. And I look at it going, why are you telling that? Because anybody that is an actual hybrid and is stuck on this backwoods mud ball, 99% of them, knowing the way humans are not going to stand up and go, by the way, I'm exactly what you're looking for. This is one of the things that just doesn't add up for me.
So how do you clean that part up, though? Is it calling these fakes and charlatans out, or is it a matter of just ignoring them? How do you deal with it?
Well, the way I tend to do it, and I'm bad for it or good for it, I don't know how you look at it, but when people start laying claim to something, I will ask questions that seem to fit. Okay. Mm-hmm. In other words, that bring to question what makes them, why are they saying they are one? Okay. Do they have anything that stands out as a definitive oddity that puts them where they are, if you will, convinced to the point of broadcasting it? Mm-hmm. Okay. And, I do I look at it when somebody says I'm a hybrid from such and such, from a reptilian hybrid, for instance. The first question I ask is, what's your meat intake requirement like? Okay. And when they turn around and tell me, it's just normal, I eat normal human food. Right there, you can tell that they may be a hybrid, but it's certainly not enough to worry about, because in all but one of the cases that I'm aware of, no, that's not true. Two, they have an extremely high carnivorous intake because it's required for their physiology, even in hybridized form. Okay, but you ask things like that. The other issue is, if you're a hybrid, you're not donating blood. You're just not going to, because talk about getting a blood type mismatch. So you don't come out and tell the person they're lying by any stretch, because they may be. But you do have to look at their behavior and whether or not, what if they're, for instance, if they claim to be a hybrid of a gray, number one, they are not going to be fighters of any stretch. Like, they're not going to be involved in any sort of physical conflict or physical, physical training, because their body, they just won't have the mindset for it. They're not, when you're dealing with a tech-like. If somebody claims to be a tech-like hybrid, I'll tell you right now, I have never met one, because they have a tendency of eating humans, not mating with them. It's just not a good method. The old idea, don't play with your food.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
These are some of the things you look at, but you've got to understand, like, if they are a hybrid and they claim to be a hybrid of a specific race, ask them about the culture of that race. Because as a hybrid, even if they don't know they're a hybrid, they will know the backbone of the culture. That is the purpose of the hybridization program. And since the Greys are the ones that invented it, they've got a pretty good handle on it.
Time is winding down here, and I just want to get to Gail's question. She is saying, Keith, anthropologists will tell you cultures are learned, not passed on genetically. Could your off-worlders be misleading you?
Sure, and they could be, but here's the other thing. Terran scientists will tell you on the whole that the backbone of the human genome is the double helix. Yet in their major research centers, they are studying the triple helix, which actually has the information that, I told the doctors about it back in the 70s. They found it in the late 90s. So I'm more inclined to say that they're the ones with the incomplete information, not the other way around.
We only got about 90 seconds left with you tonight, my friend. Hard to believe this show has absolutely flown on by like this, but it has.
Blink
do me
twice,
a favor.
Gone.
No kidding. No kidding. My friend, do me a favor. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
Okay. You can find me the easy way. If you go to YouTube, look up R. Keith Andrews. You can find me as R. Keith Andrews on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And on Facebook, you can find me as either Ronald Keith Andrews or as Inner Voice Enterprises. And, of course, email, you can get a hold of me at email. My email is innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca. And I think if you talk to Dave, he'll probably put you in touch with me.
Don't forget Twitter, @RKeithAndrews.
Oh, yes. Twitter, @RKeithAndrews. And you can also find me on Skype at InnerVoice111.
There you go. My friend, I hope you have just the best of holidays with your two awesome children, your two boys there who you're a single dad to, and all the best to you over the Christmas and New Year's season. We will talk to you on January 4th.
Well, thank you very much, and all the best to you and yours as well. It's going to be an interesting year for you, especially this holiday season, so make sure you get down there.
I hope so, my friend. I hope so. R. Keith Andrews will be back in 2019. We got Olaf Phillips and the SOR Newswire coming up right after this, so stick around.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to. US App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
We've rounded third. We are heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We bring in Olaf Phillips, the man, the myth, the Team Stump legend for the SOR Newswire. The news is always changing. That's why we bring you the SOR Newswire nightly on this show with Olaf Phillips, owner and editor of Paranoia Magazine. You can go to paranoiamagazine.com to check it on out. The SOR Newswire can be found on spacedoutradio.com. Click on the news tab. Olaf, welcome back. Another week in the books, man.
Greetings and salutations. Yes, another week is gone.
You had a lot of good stuff on Florida this week, my friend. I hope that continues tonight. I hope you're going to bring something good to the table.
I think I've got some good stuff. We'll see.
Well, let's fire it up, man. Let's fire it up.
Well, in tourist news, Germantown installs Elvis-themed crossing signals.
I saw that.
The Germantown where Elvis Presley was stationed while serving in the Army, has immortalized the king by putting his likeness on the pedestrian traffic signals. The three crossing signals installed at Elvis Presley Square in Friedberg feature the image of Elvis standing with a microphone for the red "Don't Walk" signal and the silhouette of the performer doing a signature dance moves for the green "Walk" signal.
Right.
I don't know. I think that might be confusing.
I think it is too, but nonetheless, we do have Elvis. I mean, you know what? Okay, I understand the guy is a legend. Okay, I understand that, there really hasn't been somebody who has modernized music in the last 60 years like Elvis did. Okay, you can look at Jimi Hendrix or Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones or even some people from today. All right.
Right.
But I don't think anybody has had the impact of Elvis. But I mean, the guy has been dead for 42 years, contrary to what a former guest on this show said. But he's been gone for 42 years. And his music is 50 to 60 years old now. At what point do you say, okay, let's move on?
I don't think you do, but I think part of the thing about Elvis isn't just the music; it's Elvis. It was the lifestyle. It was the whole thing. Graceland. Not only did he make a musical impact, but he had this wild lifestyle. He had this larger than life image. I think that's part of it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But at some point, you got to let it go. Do you not?
Yes and no. I mean, I think there are certain performers that will never be let go. You know, they'll always be famous. I mean, look, you know, how long ago was Abbey Road, and we're still arguing whether Paul is dead conspiracy, right? So I mean,
True.
You know, there are certain, there are certain things that I don't think ever disappear. I mean, maybe they do once the kind of, you get a few more generations under your belt. I mean, I was born in 75, so my exposure to Elvis was one of specials, the Elvis Didn't Die special, or, you know, seeing retrospectives or whatever. You know, but, you know, to the little paranoias, you know, Elvis probably isn't a big deal, right?
Oh, true. And it might be, you know, I mean, our generation is a little bit younger than, you know, Elvis in his heyday is more of our parents' music. And trust me, I'm not trying to crap on the legacy. I really am not trying to crap on the legacy. Elvis was an incredible performer. But at some point, like, it's 42 years, man. 42 years. We're not talking about a war hero or somebody like that.
Yeah, well, I think the war heroes last less time, you know. But in the case of Elvis, like, you know, to my parents, they listened to him. Maybe my dad didn't, but maybe my mom did. But they listened to him, right? But by the time it came along to me, you know, for me, it's more about his lifestyle and you know, the whole thing about dying on the toilet and, you know, meeting Richard Nixon and the 74 comeback special, you know, Fat Elvis versus Thin Elvis, and, you know, wanting to have velvet paintings of him. That's how it changed in the one generation. By the time it gets to the next generation, they'll probably have very little interest in him.
Could very well be. Could very well be, my friend. We'll have to see. Let's move on to the next story.
Okay. For everybody who needs a sweater, Pillsbury unveils Doughboy-themed Christmas sweaters.
Awesome.
Because you need it. Pillsbury is helping fans of baked goods get into the Christmas spirit by offering 2 limited edition ugly Christmas sweaters. The brand, owned by General Mills, said the sweaters are available in 2 designs. Each feature the Pillsbury Doughboy enjoying the Christmas season. I personally would think that he'd be terrified, but that's just me. The first sweater, titled Let It Dough, features the Doughboy and come Pillsbury crescent rolls, while the other, dubbed It's Lit, features the mascot with a decorated Christmas tree.
I love it.
And there you go. Yeah,
absolutely
more
love
people.
it, man.
Yep.
Up here,
Okay.
Kokanee Beer actually has an ugly Christmas sweater of a Sasquatch walking through a winter wonderland. It's actually quite beautiful.
You know, I got my cryptid crate yesterday, and I got a Christmas T-shirt of Sasquatch.
Nice.
Yes, I will be wearing.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right, let's move on to the next one.
This just in from Florida.
Yes.
Leaping lemur surprises Florida trooper during DUI arrest. Sanford, Florida. A lemur surprised a Florida Highway Patrol trooper when it crawled from a trailer being pulled by a pickup truck that had been stopped for driving erratically and hitting other cars. Dashcam video shows the lemur peeking out of the trailer before hopping to the ground and leaping around the trooper who was walking to the driver on Interstate 4 in Sanford Saturday night. The video shows the trooper doing a double take as the lemur runs around and stands on its hind legs. 27-year-old driver Shane Taylor warned troopers that the lemur named Miko bites. Taylor was arrested on several charges, including DUI. State wildlife officers took custody of the lemur and other exotic animals, including a tortoise, a goat, a parrot, and a wallaby. Jail records don't list a lawyer for Taylor. So he's driving around drunk with a lemur, a turtle, a parrot, and a kangaroo in his back the back of his truck.
And this is in Florida.
This is in Florida.
Okay, why does he have literally a bunch of marsupials in his vehicle? And
Does he have a
reptiles.
zoo? It did not explain that.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, down there, I don't know if it's like that up. Like, I know up here you have to have a special license to have certain types of pets. Did he have a license for those pets?
I do not know. It did not say. But I will say this.
Yeah.
That I found, I was very confused when I read that. That I was like, what? There's a lemur, a tortoise, a turtle, a parrot, and a kangaroo in the back of this guy's trailer. Who drives around Florida with a kangaroo, a lemur, a parrot, and a turtle?
Well, I guess it's better than a bunch of boa constrictors to go let them out in the Everglades.
Well, that's a different story. Let's skip that one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. You want Florida, I get you Florida.
Well, I appreciate the Florida stuff, man. I do. I appreciate the Florida stuff. It just sometimes I sit here a little dumbfounded, wondering how the hell does all this beautiful news happen in one location? It's gorgeous.
I'll tell you this: you don't hear about DUI arrests in California with kangaroos in the back of the truck.
No, you just hear about them with a bunch of hippies.
That's different.
Is it?
We're known to have hippies.
You've always been known to have hippies.
Oh, yeah. And, to be perfectly honest, when you go to the Haight-Ashbury, man, it's dirty and gross. That's the honest to God truth. It's dirty and gross. And you'll go there and you'll walk around and go, this is the center of hippie culture. And then you're like, I don't feel good. I want to go take a shower. It doesn't. Ugh.
I don't see myself going there. I really don't. All right.
Well,
I think we got time for... Go ahead.
I went there when I was a kid because I used to skateboard, and there was a place called Skates on 8. That's where everybody went and got their skateboards. Okay. Ready?
We got time for one more.
Okay, this is shower thoughts from Reddit. It is human to make a mistake unless you make one in a CAPTCHA. No matter how old you are, an empty wrapping paper tube is still fun to bonk someone over the head with.
Very true.
The memory of a dream is like a GIF that loses frames each time you try to remember it. Replying K in Morse code has the same passive-aggressive tone. A 3-day break, it's visual, I think. A 3-day break, you feel well-rested. A 5+ day break, you forget how to be a productive member of society. When people brokenly speak a second language, they sound less intelligent, but are actually more knowledgeable than most for being able to speak a second language at all. In 60 years, there will be retro-themed diners where the staff wears skinny jeans and look at their iPhones while working.
Oh my gosh. So true.
They say with pessimism, you'll either be correct or pleasantly surprised. But that's an awfully optimistic way to see pessimism.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. You never really know how to dry, and messed up your hands are until you pick up a microfiber cloth.
What happens?
Well, the threads get stuck in your hands.
True. We got time for 2 more, man.
If you ever think you'd be brave at gunpoint, just reflect on how you responded the last time someone aimed a rubber band at you. There's not enough rap songs about staying home at night and saving money. And this is the last one. The most unrealistic part of spy movies is everyone's ability to insert the USB drive on the first attempt.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a very good. What the hell is with that? Honestly, how is that even a thing? It drives me nuts. Drives me absolutely nuts.
I'm very computer literate and drives me crazy. It burns me all the time.
Oh, I get burned every day on that. Every day. Drives me crazy. All right, let's get to the thought of the day, shall we?
Let's do it.
Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we post a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read them on the air, your responses, because we love having your thoughts brought forward on the Thought of the Day. So today's question for all of you is, what's your thoughts on alien implants? So we were talking about with R. Keith Andrews tonight, so we'll get to some of your responses. Marianne's going to lead things off here. She says, well, it's just like tagging a wild animal. Very, very true. I brought that up during the show, Mr. News Guy. Are we just a bunch of animals to the aliens? Maybe.
Like Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, Marlon Perkins with a tranquilizer gun.
Exactly. James says, are implants in my head different than the voices? Asking for a friend. I don't know. Brett, not an implant guy, like them natural, big or small, like the Greys. I think there's some other connotation there. Not sure. AJ. Like alien boob implants? Because if so, I'm all for it. No, AJ, get your mind out of the gutter. Get your mind out of the gutter. Sandra, thought is whether we have them or not. This is actually a big, big question. How do we even know? How do we even know? I think all of most people just kind of assume, because it's kind of like a cool thing to do or say if you're in the ET world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's probably true.
Ross, no different than government implants. I didn't know the government was implanting people.
They've experimented.
Jamie Sexton, I think alien implants may be less threatening than government implants. Very true. Michelle,
maybe
it's to monitor, track, and get biofeedback on mankind, or I'm sorry, people kind. Oh, I hate that word. William, they aren't too bad if you cook them the right way. I don't really get that, but don't think I'd want to eat one. Kelly.
No.
I think a lot of the implant issue has to do with people not hearing what they want to hear. Pieces of fat that have broken off and moves around the body. Tiny pieces of metal that has been in said implantee for years that has been found to be of earthly origin. Most of the stories have been researched only to find out what is there. Is there something just normal? Could it be? People don't want to hear that, so they will either keep telling their lies to keep themselves somewhat famous, or they'll just bury it when they find out that they've stepped on a nail when they were a kid and a little piece broke off. So true. So true. So skeptical, Kelly. Is that the beard, Kelly, or is that the tinfoil? Or lack of? Michael, they're better than alien anal probes. Went there. Stunak, He says, depends where they put them. Pen Man, I had one. Don't want another one. It's a long, strange story. Uncle Dale, or his mustache. I think Uncle Dale needs a specific, special profile just for his power stash. He says, I plan to get a neural computer interface as soon as they are available so I can interact with my computer's AI 20 or 30 times as fast as I can now. I wonder if that is what alien implants are, but interfacing us to them. October states real, probably experiments or tracking devices. Final word on this one goes to Mr. Joe. If a female alien feels inadequate and implants make her feel better as a person, I'm all for it. And that's a good place to end it. Olaf, where can people find Paranoia Magazine?
ParanoiaMagazine.com. Simple.
It is simple.
Easy.
Good reads on there, too. Very good reads on there. And, of course, you can find the SOR news at our news section at spacedoutradio.com. Click on the news tab or SOR Newswire on Facebook. Big thank you to R. Keith Andrews for coming on in for the ET Connection. His last appearance until January 4th of next year. This weekend, if you're hanging out, wondering where you can go, well, I'm off finding my Zen and my Chi. Tessa Nicole Thomas is back at SOR headquarters, broadcasting Spaced Out Weekend. She gets going at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern, both nights at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thank you to everyone this week who tuned in, whether you were at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Special thank you to everybody in the chat rooms for participating this week on Rev Radio, Spreaker, the SOR Space Travelers, and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. Thank you so much for a great week. Thanks for being with us. We got an Impact Week next week, as I'll be back on Monday. Come join us, will you? Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you on Monday. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good one. Good night.